What's going on, guys? This is Aaron with AGC. I'm joined today here with Wes Britton. He is AGC's lead performance-based instructor. In a nutshell, he outshoots me and a lot of other folks. He's also a Modern Samurai endorsed instructor in the state of Arkansas. So if you'd like any additional training, you can check our website out and probably even schedule a one-on-one with him if you'd like. Today, we're going to be talking about the issues that people run into while carrying Appendix, such as printing, why you're printing, why you can't get the gun or the holster comfortable on your, forward of your hips. Wes carries just like I do. We both carry pretty much every day. I carry every day. You carry every day?
Sure do.
We carry every day, and we have pretty much found a way to carry a full-size gun on us. And or find the other areas to why we would want the smaller guns on us, and that's what we're going to cover today, is how to get the gun more comfortable on your body. So the first thing I want to talk about or discuss here with Wes is we're going to start from the ground up. That's how we first start assessing anything. Obviously we don't have to talk about stance, but now we're going to talk about the actual gear, the garments that we're wearing. What kind of shirt is this? Fruit of the Loom? Walmart special?
Something cheap
Something
and cheerful.
cheap,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know what this is, but it's nothing fancy.
It's 50% off at one of the sporting goods around here. It's a Columbia shirt. I'll say before I washed it, didn't like it. I washed it, and now I do like it because of how it fits up top, flowy down below. I've got a cool job. I get to play with guns all day long and sell them, so I don't have to always dress in a suit or hardly ever dress in a suit. So my daily wear is a little bit different. Wes, what do you currently do for your day to day?
So right now, most of what I do is IT for my full-time job. So I'm sat at a desk 8 hours a day in front of a computer.
Take your gun off?
No, never. The only time I ever take my gun off during the day is if I have to go to, for example, a doctor's appointment, something like that, right?
Is this your kind of daily dress?
Generally, I will be wearing something like this. I might be wearing some like 511 tactical pants, something like that, something a bit more comfortable.
So pretty free on how you can dress?
But yeah, I have the ability to, as long as I'm appropriately dressed.
Yeah.
Then yeah, this is kind of what I'd be wearing. Maybe a hoodie or some kind of sweater over the top.
Okay.
But that's
so a lot of this is going to be geared towards the casual stuff. I didn't bring a wardrobe change, or I would show you more of a dress way you could do things. A lot of the hardware that we use with our holsters, we're able to dress a little nicer, actually tuck in shirts and still hide the hardware on us to where you wouldn't know that necessarily there's a gun there unless you're a gun guy, right? And honestly, gun guys stop staring at other dudes' crotches. I mean, it's a little... No, everybody's looking here. So you're looking for my gun. I don't have it on me right now. Wes, do you have yours on you right
I do not have mine either. Nope.
I kind of wanted to start this way because I wanted to talk about our pants. Mine's a Wrangler Walmart special, one size up so that I can fit a gun in it. It is a thing for some kind of pant seams. You do want to go one size up. Other pants you can wear exactly to your size and don't have to change the pant size at all. Yep. Special pants or what?
No. These are Lee jeans, nothing fancy. They've got a little bit of that stretchy fabric in them to make them a bit more comfortable to move around in, but again, nothing fancy.
Mine's got a little stretch in it too, and that's what you want. You want stretch around the crotch area and around the waist seam. All right, moving on. Next to belts, right? I've got a Blue Alpha EDC. I've been rocking this for, I'd say going on close to 5 years now, or four for sure. Four for sure. No issues with it. Again, for a dress belt, I've got something a little bit more dressier, but it's still a gun belt. But this is my everyday for everything. I've got it paired with a Neomag alias system. We'll discuss that in a little bit more in depth. But essentially, you change out a little bit of hardware in your holster, and it also helps with the gun not tilting. What belt do you get?
So I also have a Blue Alpha belt. This is a slightly different one to the EDC though.
Okay.
This is the inner belt from a two-piece battle belt system, also fully Blue Alpha. What I like about this is it gives you the flexibility to adjust it very, very easily, depending on if you've eaten a little too much, or recently we talked about it earlier on. I lost a little bit of weight recently, and my belt size went down a little bit, right? Which is great, but it's kind of annoying if you have a fixed belt, the fixed size. You need to be able to adjust.
Yeah.
What I like about this too is obviously it still gives you that ability to throw a battle belt around it if you ever in that situation. Also, when I put my holster on, I like the clips over just the inside piece, and I throw the tail over the top of the clips. Which hides the clips a little better, and it also gives that little bit of extra stability so that those clips can't slide side to side.
Yeah, so talking about like losing weight and that kind of stuff, guys, it take care of your health, right?
Absolutely.
Also, you don't want to have to buy a new gun belt every time you go up and down in size, right? So that infinite adjustability on the side to be able to stretch and open it up for after you eat and or after you're taking care of yourself. Battle belts, gun belts, EDC belts, they're not cheap. Good ones are not cheap. And another good belt would be, this is the Agonic. I don't have much time behind it. I've not even cut mine to adjustability. I've put it on. I've worn mine a couple of times. This is actually our one of our guys that shoots with us and trains with us. He says that it's good to go. So as soon as I put more time behind the Agonic belt, I'll give it my another opinion on it. But it does work well with the Neomag alias system. This is the Teos. Is that how you say it?
Tigris, I think, is what it's made of. Yeah.
Tigris material, which the Neomag stuff is a little too large for it, but if you clip it onto this and then run this behind it, that Neomag stuff will work just fine with the Agonic. Cool thing about the Agonic is you have all these, it's infinitely adjustable, so you can adjust it, and then you also have these spaces right here to where you can hide your gun clips behind that, and now you're concealing a little bit more. Going off other belts that you might run into, and because this has the Tigris here, it doesn't do it when you have your gun on it, but any belt that will, and I gotta force this one, fold in on itself is typically not going to be a good gun belt because Agonic has paired it with the Tigris material here. It makes it to where it won't fold in on itself, and so it's good to go. The next thing I want to talk about is where your waistline is, okay? If you have a style where you have low-waisted pants where it gets below your hip bones, or if you have a style that goes up and above your belly button, there are certain things you've got to know in order to conceal the gun better, right? I always want a gun on you, so whether you print and people see that, that's kind of your own personal decision, but just know that there are ways to conceal that gun a little more. Wes and I have now both put our guns back on us, right? You can both kind of see if you'll raise yours back up. We have a little bit of different ride height, can't exactly where his is into reference of his belly button and mine also. The one thing that you should notice though is both of them are above the gut line, right? And without jiu-jitsu, I would not have this gut now. But if I push mine out, you will see where the gut line starts, right? And if I take this, and I'm going to just loosen my belt to demo this, if I take it and I go to the low hip bone, right? And now it's underneath my belly button. As soon as I do anything that requires movement at my hips, I start now having the gun and everything push into my leg, the other parts of my body, also starting to push the organs up into the gut. One way around that, again, you can wear it low and it conceals the gun nicely, but when you go to sit, you're going to have to do what's called the shuffle, right? So as soon as you shuffle, you bring it back up above the gut line, and then you're able to bring everything back up, sit back down, and do what you would need to do with any required movement at the hips, right?
Yeah, and I'll add to that a little bit too, is regardless of what your job is, right? Like I said before, I sit behind a desk, 8 hours a day, so I'm sat a lot, and that makes a huge difference to me. Mm-hmm. But whatever you do, we all drive cars, right? So getting in and out of a vehicle, you're sitting in it for however long you are, that can be a huge difference, right? If you're going on a long road trip, other carry positions are what some people prefer for a long road trip, right? But if you don't have to change what you do, then you're always going to be in a better position, right? You never have to think about where your gun is if you're not having to move it from appendix to other positions. So it's something that everyone kind of has to work with to kind of feel what's right for you, exactly where that kind of gun sits on you from top to bottom, side to side. But once you get that figured out, you're going to be far more comfortable with everything that you do.
Yeah. So getting it to where you're not uncomfortable doing everyday tasks, right? That's the main goal. Some people believe that, I've got to move it, 6 inches to the left and up and over. And that's why you get people sometimes in a cross draw situation, or people even starting to go too far back and starting to create physical binds and draws and carry methods, right? So just play with the up and down and the left and right. I always tell people play with the up and down, left and right, and like 1/4 inch adjustments, right? You're going to find that sweet spot where you can Bruce Lee front kick and everything, or sit down in the car and drive to work without having to move your gun or pick at it, right? Because the more you pick at that area, the more people pick up on what you're doing or what you're trying to conceal. Also, you don't want the gun moving, or the holster and everything moving around your waistline. That's why it's important to have a good waistline, such as paired with a belt. If you're carrying with drawstrings, if you're carrying sweatpants and that kind of stuff, I'm not going to tell you to grow up, because other people have jobs where they're constantly in the gym. They're always in that atmosphere, right? Yep. There are things that are coming to the market that you're able to pair your holster, your current existing holster with, that allows you to do that kind of stuff, right? So there's information out there for people to be able to carry. The main things that stop people from carrying is mainly the comfort thing, right? And this is what we're trying to help you with right now, is knowing that if you get it too far below the gut line, you're going to run into things. Too far above the gut line, you're definitely going to start printing more, right? We're essentially taking a square, putting it on an oval shape, and we're trying to hide that, right? So a good tight shirt up top, nice flowing underneath. Something else I like to say is the seam of the shirt doesn't need to drop below the pockets, right? It doesn't need to go down there. It needs to ride well up here, okay? And that's just all comes down to draw and that kind of stuff, performance, edges.
I think the other thing to add to that as well is, again, it kind of depends on what you're doing every day, right? What your kind of tasks are throughout the day. If you need for it actually to be kind of reaching up above your head, maybe you have a job in a warehouse or something, right? That shirt is going to be kind of riding up on you all day long,
and you need it to draw.
You might need that little bit of extra length, right? So you have to tailor that to yourself, what your tasks are throughout the day, and just get comfortable with what works. Because you don't want to be flashing your gun at people all day long.
Go try your shirts on at the dressing room. I mean, don't stop buying on the internet, and go in the dressing room and raise your shirt up and raise your hands up and see what's being exposed here. Are my clips being exposed? Is my shirt grabbing behind my gun all the time, right? Because this is what happens with a lot of people, and then they look down and they might see something fine, but they don't realize that the grip is doing this, or the static from everything. So a nice little shirt pop from time to time, that everybody does a shirt pop. All right, guys, so the next thing we're going to cover are the little nuances in holster and gear and that kind of stuff that make it to where you can carry a gun for 8 hours a day, right? Going to and from work, that way you're not putting your gun in a situation where you may not have it and or it gets taken from you. So first thing in a holster that I look for is the actual, how it is shaped at the bottom of it, right? So this is a Bravo concealment holster or something like that, I think. Yes, it's a Bravo concealment. They sent this to me to try it out. Y'all are going to get a little bit of the review. I've given them my feedback, and I don't know if they've run with anything. Anyway, down here at the edges, you see how it's really squared off. This is an Appendix holster and or a inside the waistband strong side holster. They say it can do both. The problem is that you have these square edges here, and that doesn't fit well with the shape of your torso around your midsection, right? Your torso is kind of V'd off like this. It's not a square, right? And I know I just held that in front of my face. Wes's holster here, if you look at the bottom of his.
This one is a JMCK holster. I forget exactly which model it is, but most of their holsters, especially for Appendix, they are very minimal on the base of the holster. So what that means is all the edges are rounded off. There's nothing like that other holster we saw that's square, where if you're moving, you're bending at the waist, side to side, whatever, nothing on the holster can like dig into you below the waistline or wherever the gun happens to be at
causing
that time,
those little discomforts.
Yeah,
right?
It's just one other thing that you can do with that holster to avoid having to adjust throughout the day, right? And the less adjustments we make, the more comfortable we're going to be for a long period of time.
Right. So this is another holster. This is the Raven Concealment Etalon, I believe. Let's see. I should be able to see it on here somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's the Etalon. I like the Morgani holster, and I forgot to grab the example of that one. But this is one of their popular appendix holsters. Raven Concealments is a great company. They have the right features and stuff with their holsters. The one thing that you'll notice is that this is a lot skinnier than that Bravo Concealment down at the bottom, but it's still squared off, which could cause an issue if you like to bring your gun over to the more 1 o'clock versus 12 o'clock. There are some other things that, as far as just not even replacing, they were talking about clips or claws just yet. What can we do to the back of the holster? So you can see that this one is a slick back. I've not set it up for a wedge yet because I run God guns and I run M&P. Not Glock, no. This is also slicked back. I've not set it for a wedge or anything like that. Once you do set something for a wedge, small things like the corners or the sharp edges you can start to cover with a wedge, and that will make that a little bit more comfortable. This one would still be too wide for my torso, and that's another thing as far as buying pre-made wedges. Yep. Is they don't know your torso. The guy who designed it knows his torso, and that's typically what you get. Here is a C&G holster. I do like C&G holsters, man. They have done a fantastic job for me. Any little nuance that I need to make or correct on it, such as like around the underguard, the trigger guard, I kind of just shave down, and I have to do that with most holsters too. Again, you're getting the person's who designed it, their finger placement and everything,
the hand
not
size,
yours,
the
hand
gun size, whatever it is that they're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, big fan of the C&G holsters. They give proper hardware and everything out with their stuff. I had one with some C&G clips, but they're essentially the metal discrete carry clips, which those are the clip hardwares that we do suggest, or I suggest the Neomag Alias hardware systems. The wing or the claw, there's an AGC prototype that is out there amongst those who are in the know. Indeed. And it does really cool things for you. That's another video for another time, but essentially it does what an original claw or wing does, plus more, and allows you to carry in other types of garments and keep a consistent draw throughout the day to where you no longer pick at your gun. That's pretty much what I'll say about that. Okay, so let's talk about wedges, right? And why we want a wedge, what size wedge works for you, and why pre-wedges or pre-bought wedges typically don't work a lot of the times. The reason why they don't work is they don't know the size of your torso, the shape of your torso, high, low, left and right, and everything else. So what I've found to do is get a yoga block, go to Walmart, for $5-10, you buy a little bit of Velcro, a little bit of time at home, and you shape your own. Okay, depending on the holster, depending on you, depends on how wide and how thick you go, right? On this one, I've got a couple of different ones. I've got one at the top, and I've got one down low. The one down low helps with any discomfort or hot spots down here. Typically on this C&G, because of it's nice and rounded off, I don't get very many hot spots. But any holster for me that has a built-in wedge doesn't work, right? And it also creates another hot spot for me. So creating a little bit of a thicker wedge when I have a built-in wedge to make up that space, and then putting something else at the top of the holster keeps it really comfortable for me. The thinner you go, the more, what I want to say, malleable? Yeah, okay, yeah. Cool. The British guy can speak better English than I can.
Surprise.
It becomes over the holster. So you can see on this one that I'm carrying a M&P 2.0 with the Surefire X300 in it. I have gone a lot thinner, right? So thicker thicker holster requires a thinner wedge for me. Typically a wider gun doesn't do well, but I couldn't even tell you whose holster this is. This was given to me by a friend of the club, one of the LA boys. You know who you are. Right here, I do like this feature that it is kind of cut out right there, and then it just goes around the light. I've added a little bit extra yoga right there, and actually just did a square this time. And that comes around and it fits in and meets my body well. That paired with the AGC Claw and the Neomag alias system, my gun don't move, right? So that is why you would want a wedge. Do you have a wedge on yours?
Yeah, I do. So I just want to kind of touch on mine just a little. So although I do tend to agree with Aaron about the pre-made wedges, I do agree that having one that you make yourself, you tailor to your own body, you tailor to your holster, your gun, that is a better option. However, saying that, this is a JMCK pre-made wedge that came with the holster. Now, they come in various different sizes, thicknesses. I think there's a small, medium, and large, depending on what you want. What I like about this one, and the reason I can still have it on, is just because it happens to be perfect for me and this holster and gun combination. What I've also found recently that I've been looking into, and there's another option after these two, is the beanbag style wedges. Right, so they're the beanbag material that you would sit on as a kid. They're just this small pouch with that material inside. So when you put that on, it actually molds.
I've not played with that.
To your body. I haven't played with them much, but I do think they have some merit, and they can be a little cooler looking, right? Sometimes we think about that too, right?
Oh,
How
okay.
cool you
so
look,
you can get cool
right?
little designs on those?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So that's just another option,
changer.
right? So whatever works well for you, and you're going to have to find that out as you kind of discover how you want to start carrying.
Yeah. The other thing, so, I mentioned the Neomag. If you were looking at my holsters, I basically have all my stuff set up for the Neomag alias system. What that is that's it's a receiver soft system that goes on the back side of your belt, and then your holster will click in to that portion. There it goes. And then it also helps with a little bit of your gun tilting back into the waistline.
Yep.
That paired with the AGC Claw, I mean, your gun's not going to move, and you will always have that consistent gap where you need to be able to claw your hand or get your hand into the gun. The other things that I like, if you're not going to go with the Neomag stuff, are like the discrete carry clips. I don't know how well you can see those, but they have a little, how you know that they're discrete carry clips is they have a little skeletonized guy on the front of the clip there. The other things to look in for good holsters are obviously a wing or a claw. Look for those. I can't tell you when the one that we're working on is going to come. That's basically it, right? So depending on where you ride the gun, where your waist is, getting it above, below, off of the leg, and above the gun line, your carrying is going to become more consistent. Doing the small little nuances of changing your hardware for concealment, the backside for more comfort, also going to get you more consistent, right? Guys, I appreciate Wes coming by today. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Always appreciate when he comes in and gets to hang out in the shop, because this isn't his 9 to 5, but one day, maybe one day. If you'd like to know more about our club, you can go to aaguncabinet.com. If you have any more questions, just feel free to reach out to us. My phone number is 501-218-6999. Thanks.